Well, I clicked the live button, but obviously, whatever genius is controlling this thing didn't want to put me on camera. Oh, that's me. Hello.
There you
Welcome. Welcome to the Altar Live Show. Maeve, how you doing?
I was like, I'm alone in this.
I know. Take it away. Here. We'll just
Oh my gosh. It's the one-woman show of the Altar
There you go.
Live
Have fun.
Wow.
Good luck.
Oh my gosh. Hello, everyone. It's me, Maeve. Andy is hiding.
I'm not hiding. I'm always here.
Scared.
I'm like the Holy Spirit. I'm always around. All right, let's come back.
gosh.
How are we
All right.
doing today,
Woo.
Maeve? How's everything going?
I'm good. I got my cup of coffee
Yep.
in my Van Gogh mug.
Yeah,
See
you
that?
went Van Gogh. I went boring, plain coffee mug.
It's
Everything
nice-
else is dirty.
It's those nice pottery ones. I like those. Does
Yeah,
it
they're-
have the little thumb mark on the handle? I love those. You know the little
No.
thumbprint?
I do know what you're talking about. We have a
Okay.
couple of those. No, it's a Pfaltzgraph.
Oh.
Yeah, you get it from
very
like
intriguing.
Crate and Barrel or I don't know, something.
Okay.
My
Nice.
parents got it for us for a wedding gift, and they've been surviving 8 years. So thanks, guys.
Oh, love that. Yeah, those mugs with the thumbprint thing are my favorite because it just feels so nice to put your thumb on it. This is such a boring conversation, but I'm passionate about mugs, I have to say.
Well, as I've gotten older, and you're not even nearly close to as old as I am, Maeve. But as I've gotten older, I've become more passionate about mugs. So maybe it's an aging thing, you know?
Yeah, and I've always felt like an older soul, you know? I just love a good mug. I get in
love a
trouble
good
for
mug.
getting around a mug. I do, I really do. Like if someone gets me a mug for a gift and it's like cute and like my go-to gift for a while was giving people a new mug with a bunch of Hershey Kisses in it.
Sure.
And I just felt like that's the best gift I could give you. And I feel like it stands the test of time.
What, do you go regular Hershey's Kiss? Do you go like the Hugs ones, like the white chocolate and black or dark chocolate one?
Oh. Well, it depends on the season. If it's, a Christmas gift, I'll get maybe the peppermint ones,
Okay.
which are fun, but then also the chocolate with the different color
Mhm.
wrapping.
Mm-hmm.
But then I like, I think every season has a nice fun wrapping, but I usually go for the classic milk chocolate. I think you can't go wrong with that.
How do you feel about the Hershey's with the almonds in them?
Are there almond ones?
Mhm.
Kisses with almonds?
Yeah.
In it? Oh, I don't think I've had that.
Yeah. They're
I've had the Hershey's almond, but not with kisses.
yeah. It's basically
I
that
like the
just
sound
in
of it.
Hershey. Oh, I gotta click the other scene. It's basically that, what with it's like the Hershey's bar, just distilled
Okay.
down into pyramid form.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind it. I feel like I'll probably always go for the solid milk chocolate, but if the almond slips in, I'm fine.
if it slips in the factory, an oops all berries situation.
Exactly. No nut allergies here.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely. Hey, it's a tree nut, so most people are not, thankfully, allergic to
Yeah.
almonds. Although almonds are ruining the state of California, but we don't have to.
Why? Because there's too much almond butter? Because I feel like that's a travesty.
And almond milk.
Oh
No,
my gosh.
no, that's not why. So you know how. Welcome to the Ultra Live Show, where we're going to discuss current events. You know how in California it always seems like they're on fire.
Oh, yeah.
And they're always in a drought. Well, one of the major reasons for that is the almond farms, especially in northern, it's the almond and wine country.
Yeah.
So all along the coast and then up into Northern California, the amount of water it takes to grow almonds in California is insane. And so they're basically depleting all of the reservoirs and all of the, the artisanal wells and all that stuff to produce almonds from California. And it's ruining them. So
That's sad.
Welcome.
We're not here to talk about it.
Well, welcome to the current state of affairs. Welcome, Altar Live fam, and everybody else joining us in here on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm Andy.
And I'm Maeve.
Fantastic. You jumped right in there with that one. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to really.
I know. I'm like working.
I know. Well, I know. Eventually, one day, you're gonna have to lead this whole show, and
Oh my gosh.
I know. How's that feel?
That's, you know what? We're going to cross that bridge when we get there.
Jump into the chat and let us know how excited you are that Maeve is going to lead the show. No, we're not going anywhere. Actually, we have a very special episode for you today. But before we get there, we do know that it's winter around much of the northern hemisphere right now, unless you're in Florida. It is 81 degrees outside.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. For reference, it was 27 or 28 on Sunday. So it's 81 today.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
Welcome.
a switcheroo.
And then when we're in Jacksonville this weekend, it's going to be in the 50s. So it's like this weird... Anyway, you don't care about that. We didn't come here to talk about the weather. What we did come here to talk about, however, is winter. And Maeve had snow on the ground last week. Maeve, what's the snow update right now?
It's gone. It's completely gone.
You sounded so sad.
It's devastating. Only because like the reason why it's gone is because it's been pouring rain. And normally I like rain, but if it's the rain that's going to take the snow away and reveal my brown lawn, it's not a good vibe. The vibes are off today.
I'm with you on that. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. Thoughts and prayers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. When you did have snow on the ground, I guess my question to you and the rest of everybody else out there is, what's your favorite activity or favorite sport-ish type thing to do in the snow?
Yes. Well, you know how I feel about sports. It's
sports ball.
It's not my first choice of activity, but I do like skiing. Well, it's like a love-hate relationship. I really like the idea of skiing, but then once I'm like in the freezing cold, I'm like, why am I here?
Yep.
But does sledding count? I haven't gone sledding in a really long time, but I just have the best memories of sledding because
like 2-person sled or a 1-person sled?
All the above.
Okay.
When I was little, my next door neighbors had this awesome sledding hill where we'd make like jumps and, all sorts of, and then we'd stand up on the sled to see if we could
Let's go.
snowboard down the hill.
Let's go.
So many fun things, definitely got the wind kicked out of me once or twice. But, we'd all pile onto the sled or we'd have those like inner tube things and just like shoot down the hill, and It was just awesome. And I have such fond memories of that. I guess like skiing is like the older version of sledding. It's the more refined, but it's not the same as piling onto a toboggan and just like making a jump off the bottom of the hill.
So do you call it toboggan? It's a different thing. In Michigan, we called them toboggans, and then when I was living in Jersey, it was not toboggan. It was a 2-person sled.
I feel like there's a bunch of different kinds because we have the blow-up tube, which we call like the tube sleds. Then when you have like the plastic ones you can get at like the grocery store, we call those sleds. But if it's that wooden one that you can pull and it's like very fancy looking, that's what I would call a toboggan.
Got it.
So,
and usually they curve up at the front.
Yes. Yeah. We did have one of those once upon a time. I don't know what happened to it. But,
burned it for firewood.
I wouldn't put it past my father.
Fantastic. For me, obviously hockey. It was we would skate on ponds growing up. I mean, we were that family. I was that kid. Played hockey when I was 3 and 4 on up until I was 18 and 19. So, yeah. And hockey, Winter Olympics, all of that is kind of going on. I think we'll save the Winter Olympics chat for next week. Because I do want to get you mentioned something in the pre-show that I wanted to get into about figure skating, but I don't know that we need to go there just yet. So we'll let our audience
stay tuned.
Be on the edge of their seats. Maeve, what who do we got on the show today?
Well, we have a very special guest, Thayne Sparke, who
Hmm.
is pastor in Kansas from Codell Community Church, I believe.
Hmm.
And we were talking to him about small groups because they have a really, really cool approach to small groups, a hybrid approach,
Hmm.
which a lot of churches are doing. And Altar Life is a great place to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we recorded this interview a couple of days ago. So if we're off on
Mhm.
our current events, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Thayne's a
and if
great guy.
my continuity with my background is off, just like don't come at me.
We didn't hire a continuity specialist like they do in films. Sorry, guys. We didn't. We
Yeah,
don't. We don't.
no.
We don't have that big bucks. But yeah, Thane's a great guy, and all of his information, and as well as any of his follows, as well as Codell Community Church, all of that is in the description and links below if you want to check them out and check out what he's doing. But ready to go, Maeve? We're gonna kind of rock it over there. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. We'll see
Woohoo!
you guys
Let's
in a little bit. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on this, I don't know, very special part of the Altar Live show this week. Obviously, you heard Maeve and I talking just a little bit ago about random bits and bobs and doodads because that's what we do. But we actually wanted to bring in a very special guest. One of our really, Thane, you're kind of like one of the first people ever to use Altar Live, I think, outside of our development team. Is that correct?
I knew I was getting into it the first November that Altar was up and running
Yeah.
towards the end, maybe even December. And so yeah, I know that I was right there towards the beginning.
Well, it's awesome. Thayne Sparke, thanks so much for agreeing to be on the show with us today. I guess first and foremost, before we even get into your ministry or anything, who are you? Where are you located? Kind of what's a little bit of your history and a little bit of what you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like Andy said, I'm Thane and I'm a pastor here at Codell Community Church in Kansas. And it's pretty unique just because of the, let's say, the smallness and the ruralness. We have like 40 people in town, but we are always looking to see how we can take steps in the right direction to facilitate more community, more ministry, just kind of keep in step with people where they're at and try to come alongside, and be faithful with with the responsibilities that God has given us. And so we might be small, but we like to push forward pretty hard.
How long has the church been in existence?
Yeah, we're in a really old church building of like 115 years,
Wow.
but the Codell Community Church is about 7 years old, and
Okay.
I've been here for 5.5 years. Yeah,
Where were you previous to that?
I was attending Denver Seminary.
Okay.
Yep,
Wow.
this is
Awesome.
my first pastor. Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic. Did you live out there at Denver?
We lived out there for the 3 years that I attended school. We're pretty small town folk in the first place, and so yeah, this is where we're at is kind of who we are,
Okay.
I would say. So yeah.
Awesome. How long have you felt kind of the call on your life to be a pastor?
Probably ever since I became a believer in college. And it's not that I had some crazy moment of God saying, "Hey, you're going to be a pastor," but He just put this burden on my heart of just drawing me closer and closer to pastors and me looking up to pastors. And I'm like, wow, like I think like God is kind of gently leading me into doing that myself. And I think I was doing it before I was really officially doing it. It's like you can do it with before you really have a title. And so I was like, yeah, I think I see some things going on here.
What is the old phrase Jesus used? Uneducated, ordinary men to do the extraordinary. Yeah, you're doing the same thing.
Come on. Come on.
Absolutely. Maeve, take it from here.
Yeah, so over the past 2 years, like church has changed so drastically, and
Mhm.
people have had to switch from in person to online. And we've heard a bunch of stories of people using like various mediums to still keep their church running. What were you guys doing before you found Altar Live?
Yeah, we have used a lot of Zoom. Zoom, like it seemed like almost the rest of the world transitioned to just
Mhm.
um,
Like
before
that.
the pandemic, we were still doing Zoom and stuff like that. Um, and we are. This is a culture shifting thing here. We want to integrate Altar Live into everything that we are doing, from our business meetings to our vision night, to small groups while we're here today, right? We want this to be just the primary tool, like one of the primary tools that we're using to facilitate ministry. So Zoom was pretty much the primary tool, and obviously we did Facebook and stuff like that. So yeah.
Mhm.
Now, what?
What
Oh,
originally
go
oh,
ahead. Go ahead, Dave. No, go ahead.
what originally drew you to the platform? Because, all of a sudden Zoom was all the rage. It was like I had never even heard of Zoom before we had to switch online, and all of a sudden, I was still in school, so all my classes were on
Of
Zoom.
course.
Just everything was Zoom based. And it was really easy and simple, but you definitely had that Zoom fatigue, and it felt so separated. Like you couldn't really, like, it didn't feel like you were all together. It just felt like little boxes together on
Yeah.
a screen, which, most video conferencing platforms are like that. But what drew you to Alter with like the different features that are offered and the different ways that you can be together online?
Yeah, it's the initial vision behind it, the meaningful
Mhm.
connection that Altar makes possible. So this vision of people gathering, and with the video capability, which has to be insane on the engineers that kind of make it happen, but just being able to join while you're in person away from each other, joining in the other event, or in the event that's taking place. And just with how that all works out is
Hmm.
priceless.
Mm,
um, and it's just so much more personal than just the what Zoom can do. I think that Zoom can be great for business, but I think like the church, um, I think that this can fit the church world so much better.
When
totally.
in Okay, so back, let's say February of 2020, were you guys running anything virtually outside of just kind of streaming? What were you doing in terms of digital presence?
Yeah, we were streaming, but it was we're being a relatively small church. It was pretty novice, let's say that. And so we were doing streaming, trying to run a video switcher, just trying to do the best that we could with that. When the pandemic hit, man, the Lord had been really doing some things to kind of get us ready for this, I feel. Like there was somebody in the church that was very generous that bought a digital snake for our sound system that we could transition to a completely separate online mix if that wasn't possible. In our 3-year technology upgrade plan, we were planning on doing lights, and so we did the lighting, that January, on the new budget year. And then the pandemic hit. We were going to transition to different cameras, the following year, just because of budget, like let's eat the elephant one bite at a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when the pandemic hit, we pivoted hard and invested some money
Mm,
into a completely different video switcher. Got in right here on the other side of my wall. We have a completely different mixer for
Hmm.
sound, video switcher. We have the lot better cameras, and so pretty proud of the leadership in the church of being willing to really pivot on a dime and make some decisions quickly to make it happen.
So during that transition, how are you using Ultra Live now? What are you doing with the platform?
Well, I want to say that I want to use it to its fullest in the future. Right now, we are not using it to its fullest, um, and we're in the process of planting seeds in the culture to make it an easier transition. Change can be difficult, and so we're still streaming to Facebook for our services, and I really want to make the transition to in my opinion, the best part about Altar. just with being able to experience the full lobby experience, and being intentional to name the different tables, and but then also just be almost like present in your seat while you're watching the screen, and you're sitting in your seat with others around you. That is just insane. And so, yeah, I'm blown away by it. Um, but right now, we have small groups here at the church, obviously, and we have a small group that meets at 5:15, 5:15 Thursday mornings. Tomorrow
AM.
morning, we're
Yeah.
going to be
Wow.
Let's not miss that. That's AM.
exactly, yeah, 5:15 a.m. And we have a meeting set up, and we watch a video. But then there is one person that just can't be here in person. They moved away, but they're still part of the church, and he wants to be part of this small group. And so, like, when we're talking about putting this thing together, I was thinking, yeah, man, we can make it happen because we have Altar, and this is perfect for Altar. And so, what we do is we share the screen so that person can watch the video, and then when we're just discussing questions and stuff like that, I have people here in my office, but then I have the other person on their phone. It's kind of crazy, but like they're on their way to work, and they actually get to work, and then they get on the internet there at work, and then they're there at work before they actually have to start working. And then they're just joining, and that person participates. He connects with the other people that are in it. And I guarantee you, there would be a lapse in the relationship if we weren't doing what we were doing. But when this person comes back, in person, there's going to be a pickup right from where they left off, probably actually even further down the road because of the experiences that they have in this hybrid small group approach. Okay. And so that's what we're doing. We also used it for Vision Night. I have an older gentleman in the church that like I have this, that we want Altar to be the primary platform. I don't want to pay for Zoom. I don't want to do Zoom anymore. Just because I want to be getting it into the culture. Yeah. I wanted to be getting it into the culture. So then when we make the transition to the services, and using Altar to the full capacity that it is, then it's not going to be as crazy of a transition for everybody. Everybody's going to have their account set up already, and all that kind of stuff. But that Vision Night, we had this older gentleman, and he's like, man, Altar, it works so much better than Zoom anyways, And so I'm like, yes, score,
Take note, everybody. Yes. Absolutely.
Go ahead. No, I'm serious. Like, he loves the functionality of Altar better than Zoom. Then also that same person was down in Texas. We had another person that was sick that couldn't make it to a building team meeting, and then actually another person at home. We didn't use Zoom. We used Altar, and so we sent out the link for Altar, and so we had people in person at the building team meeting, but then we had other people joining via Altar, and it worked flawlessly.
That's amazing. What's the overall response been from? Obviously, you said this older gentleman loved it. What has the congregational response been as you've been introducing all the features? Because one of the things we hear a lot from people that are signing up to use Altar is, oh my gosh, we love it. We think the platform is this, that, and the other, and we're so excited. But I don't know how my congregation is going to respond. So what has it been like for you?
Very, very early on, there was a person that said, but I don't want to have my camera on. I don't want to be videoed while I'm trying to watch a worship service. And I said, then turn your camera off.
It's easy. There's a button. It's right there at the bottom.
Like, if you don't want to be on, you don't have to be on. It's not that big of a deal. And really, in my heart, and like seriously, if you don't want to be on camera, don't be on camera. It's not a big deal. If you want to, do it. Maybe you don't like have your camera on during while you're at the worship service, but maybe you turn it on for when after the worship service when you go to the lobby, right?
Hmm.
And so you can use it in different ways. And now, ever since then, as we are transitioning and I'm starting with my leadership team first, I'm just continuing to plant
Hmm.
seeds of positivity of how this platform is the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? And they're buying into it totally. I'm at first they were concerned about some expenses, and I got that taken care of. And so that's not an issue anymore. And they're continuing to adjust while I'm having other people in the church continue to on ramp into it, and it sells itself with how it functions. It's seamless, easy to use, obviously, and so yeah.
Awesome.
That is awesome. Before I just go to my next question, I want to go back to what you said about how you loved the vision behind
Hmm.
the product, and I think that's honestly what I was trying to say, and you said it so much more succinctly because you have all these different like video conferencing platforms, but with Alter, the vision is what makes it because it's something designed specifically for churches with churches in mind, wanting them to succeed, and it's not like putting an online service on the back burner.
Hmm.
Like this, we're putting the um, like these people who join online first, and
That's right.
yeah, to hear that, uh, you know, o- older people are liking the platform is so nice to hear
Hmm.
because it is really hard to introduce something new to people no matter who you are, but
Hmm.
that's always a concern, so it's just really really nice to hear that.
Yeah, one other way that you guys need to know that we used it. Uh, we used what we called a formation plan, developed it with Glue, Gloo,
Hmm.
and with Journey Studio. And so we had for a tool of discipleship during Advent, they would do the formation plan, but we would meet on altar Monday mornings and Friday mornings. Monday mornings to talk about what was going to be coming up in the formation plan for that week, and then on Friday mornings to debrief how their week experience was. It was experiencing the devotionals that were in the formation plan.
Hmm.
And I say that because we seriously have a couple that I feel almost bad for them because they did not grow up in a technology age at all. They're like in their older 80s.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. And this world is rocking their world.
Mm.
And so we got them hooked up with an account, and they were there every morning
Wow.
on altar,
Wow.
That's amazing.
um, and it just showed. And this is so important for the conversation. Okay, we are a rural congregation that is spread out over miles, many miles, and so it's just not a hop, skip, and a jump. It's just not easy to get here.
Mm.
And so we need to have meaningful moments to connect throughout the week. And we need to find a way to do that despite our, let's say, the population scarcity, like we're not close to each other in proximity. Alter makes it possible
Hmm.
for us to connect
Mm.
throughout the week, um, in ways that we couldn't before.
That is awesome. So, we're entering a new year and things
Mhm.
are changing, but also still the same. And kind of going forward, as you're looking at small groups with this hybrid approach, what
Mhm.
mindset do you think church leaders need to have when they're starting a small group, a philosophy, if you will, like a 2022 small group philosophy?
Well, I think that meaningful connections is the name of the game, and
Mm,
um, do not, and they cannot be afraid of a hybrid approach. There can be so many meaningful connections happen in small groups, um, uh, even if it is hybrid. We do not all have to be in the same room at the same time, especially with people's busy schedules.
Hmm.
It's just like let's not make everybody come to one central location.
mm,
Um, that we don't have to do that anymore. We have tools at our fingertips that make it possible for meaningful connections. And in the midst of the meaningful connections, I believe God works and moves, draws people closer to Himself and to the body of Christ,
Hmm.
and therefore we can be strengthened and encouraged in our faith, and fruit can come from that. And so we can't be afraid of the hybrid approach. Get people in the
mm,
room, but allow this ability for people to connect, and don't shut it down just because or don't limit it just because one person might not be able to make it there, right?
Hmm.
um, Say, hey, I know that you might not be able to drive here, but hey, how about you join via altar? We have it going, and it works great. Um,
mm,
yeah. And the person that's joining from a distance in this small group, they need this for them, like for their faith.
Hmm.
And it's changing their life.
Hmm.
Okay. And it's so good for them. And like, as me as a pastor, I get to sit back and just watch this happen. Yeah, it takes intentionality on their end, but we also have to be willing to allow these kinds of experiences by opening the door and say, yeah, you know what? We don't have to get everybody in the same room. We can do it hybrid. Let's go.
Yeah, it's
mm,
interesting. And I don't know how into the streams of all of the digital slash phygital thing that you're into right now, but one of the biggest things that has started coming up more and more and more that we are even seeing on our own social media posts for Altar Live, but even my own
Hmm.
posts for personal reasons, is that
Hmm.
it's split right down the middle. There is half the
mm,
camp that is taking a risk, not even taking a risk. It's stepping a foot into the quote unquote digital realm and saying, okay, we know that we can affect change on people, and it might not be the same as actually being next to somebody, but yada yada yada. And then there's this other side that is so vehemently opposed to. I mean, like we just got a comment on one of our Facebook posts that it was just like Hebrews 10:25 says it all, and Hebrews 10:25 is, of course, let us not give up in the habit of meeting with one another. And then somebody else literally commented a little bit later, Zoom church is not real church,
mm.
and obviously trying to degrade what we're doing, but also just knocking the whole hybrid approach of church. And so I'm not saying speak into that, Thane, but speak into that.
Yeah. So I think that there's enough division in the world. Let's not throw, I don't want to throw gasoline on the fire,
Okay.
but here's the deal. If we want to helicopter down and pick one verse out,
Let's
and pick
go.
Hebrews
Let's
10:25 and
go.
shout it
Mhm.
from the mountaintop. Let's go ahead and helicopter down on the Great Commission to go
Let's
into all
go.
the world.
Let's go.
Let's go
Mm,
into all the world. Um, all the world is this online space too, right? And so, with all due respect, I'm going to let other people have their opinions, and I'm not going to push back too hard.
Hmm.
Um, but I believe that meaningful connections can happen online.
Yes.
And I would, well, when I face Jesus someday, um, this is where it gets pretty personal, right? Um, I want Jesus to know and look at me, and he's like, man, you did everything that you could.
Mm.
You did
Mm.
everything that you could.
Hmm.
You didn't leave one rock unturned. You used whatever you could to try to get the word out there, to tell other people about my love for them. And you didn't hold back.
Hmm.
I can't imagine Jesus saying today, yeah, go to China, go to Africa, but please just don't go the internet route.
Yep.
Please, no,
Mm.
Yep.
no. So that's just a little bit of my thoughts on that, and we can go from there.
I love that. I love that. And again, this is not because we're ostensibly a digital only podcast and a digital only church and a digital only everything and a digital only, church platform. I even before I became a digital pastor, and Thayne, even before you were kind of jumping into even
Mm-hmm.
Zoom and all that stuff, I think we all
Yeah.
realized that we could get into the world a lot quicker by using the internet, and
Mm.
we could actually talk to people. I mean, we have people at the church I work for. We have people joining us from the Philippines and from Germany and from
That's
England
right.
and from Scotland and from Spain and from
Mm-hmm.
Brazil every
Mm.
single weekend. And that is just simply because we have a digital presence. They would have never known about the message of Christ through what we're trying to do if not for
That's
this. And
exactly
so
it.
that's my
Yeah.
recommendation is people that are kind of on the fence, start to look into what this, not even what Altar Live is. Of course, we want you to click the links below and kind of
Mm-hmm.
go through everything and listen to this interview. Of course, we want to do that. We want to help you with
Yeah.
that. But we also, more than that, all three of us have a heart for reaching the lost through the
Dang.
digital space.
Yeah.
Amen.
And I think like there can be positives to both. There's
Yes.
positives to in person, and there can be positives to the digital. I think that
Mm.
there can be negatives, or maybe let's call them downsides
Mm-hmm.
to the in person
Mm-hmm.
and downsides to the digital.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just not throw them all out. Let's just take it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's use the positives as a catalyst, in the digital and in the in person experience, and understand that there are going to be some downsides. Like we're talking about a building project of $3 million. Like that's a lot of money
Yeah.
for us, right?
Mm.
$3 million to try to for this church, like the expense of in-person worship spaces
Mm.
is insane. Now that is so that could be, one of the downsides. Now there's a lot of positives as well.
Oh
So
yeah.
we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater,
Nope.
right?
Nope.
And so there's just positives and downsides to both. Let's just use the positives and use it as a catalyst for the gospel, for people to grow and mature in their faith. That's the heart.
Mm.
Absolutely. Cool. Maeve, anything else to ask this fine young gentleman in front of us?
No, I think all the questions were answered really well, and it was just really nice to talk to you and hear about your approach with Altar Live and how it's been working in your church life.
Yep. I think that we're just getting started, and looking forward to growing with the Altar family. Thank you guys for what you guys are doing
Yep.
in this digital space and contributing to the kingdom in pretty significant ways. I don't think that we can really wrap our minds around the impact that this is going to have right here, right now.
Mm.
It'd be fun to see, to look down the road 5 to 10 years. I think that the world's going to be changing a lot, and I think that Altar's perfectly positioned to really be making an impact in ministries.
Absolutely. Thayne, we appreciate you. We'd love to check back in with you in a couple months as you kind of get down the road with Altar and help you and figure all that out. And Thayne is an active member of our Facebook group as well, so feel free to pop on in there. Links are down in the chat or down in the comments below. Feel free to jump on in there and we can have all the conversations we want. Thanks, Thayne. I'm just stumbling over all my words. Thayne, thank you so much for being here today.
So good to be with you guys. Thank you.